Hi, Deacon Ed McCormick here at St. John the Baptist Catholic Community. And as we begin the Advent season, I want to take up a serious subject that is on the minds of many people. And it's the following. Is there a future for the church? Does the church have a future? That's a serious question that people are wrestling with. Believers, people who have participated in the church and have left, people who still participate in the church and are devoted to it. So I want to begin to think about this question from the point of view of recent readings that we've heard during the Advent season. And I want to focus on a passage from the prophet Isaiah chapter 11. And he uses this image that can help us to think about and wrestle with this question. And it has to do with an image of a stump. Now, in my backyard, we once had this colossal oak tree. It was massive and it towered above the house. It would rain down what seemed to be hundreds and hundreds of leaves during the fall. And one year it got struck by lightning and was dying, and we had to have it cut down. And we brought in a massive crane, and now all that's left of it is a stump. And the contrast between this massive oak tree with its enormous limbs and hundreds of leaves and this stump is stunning. Well, this image of the stump, where everything is dead and nothing is growing, is the image that Isaiah the prophet uses in chapter 11 for Jerusalem and David's monarchy. He thinks that the things that Israel has done have led to the downfall of the capital of Jerusalem and to the end of David's monarchy. Now, many of us could look at the church today and say it seems like the same thing's happening. There's a sense in which the church is being cut down. Certainly what's sharpening that blade that seems to cut down the church today would, number one, be secularism. This pervasive, take it for granted attitude that's kind of indifferent to God, suspicious of the church. A second thing, and a real reason that the church has to face, is clericalism. This attitude that priests and deacons can have, not all, but some can have, where they're focused on their authority and their power, and they think they are the experts, and the people serve them, and the people have to give them recognition and acknowledgement. This drives people away. There's nothing like clericalism to drive people out of the church. And a third reason is perhaps that the church, all of us, have failed to proclaim and live the gospel. And to live the gospel by failing to stand up for justice and peace and the vulnerable and the poor. And there are other reasons as well. Now, here's the interesting thing. If you think that the only forces at work in the world are economic and political and social and cultural, then you would have reason to think and believe that the church is coming to an end. It doesn't have a future. But Isaiah gives us hope, because Isaiah says, after he talks about Jerusalem as the stump, he says that out of that stump, God will grow a shoot. Out of that stump, God will bring a bud to grow and bloom. Now, the question for us is, where does Isaiah get this hope? Where does Isaiah think that out of this stump of Jerusalem and the Davidic monarchy could grow something? Where can we get hope that out of the collapse of the church in the secular age, and because of clericalism and the sex abuse crisis, where can we get hope that God could grow something new out of the church? Well, Isaiah shows us where. Isaiah says that it's the Spirit of God that will come upon a new Davidic king, a spirit in which he will have a spirit of wisdom and truth and justice. And this spirit is the same spirit that we hear about at the beginning of the book of Genesis, where God begins to create all things. You see, the Spirit of God is the creative power of God. That same Spirit awakens prophets. It empowered Jesus to engage in his ministry. It raised Jesus from the dead. That Spirit, that creative, renewing Spirit, is still at work in the world and in the church. And it's this Spirit, my friends, that can grow new things, that can bring new life, new ministries, new ways of being church. And our task in this time of Advent is to watch and wait and look and listen for what are the new ways the Spirit of God is trying to grow a new shoot in a church that seems to be collapsing. What are the ways in which the Spirit of God is growing a new bud, something new and beautiful that we can cooperate with? Now here's a suggestion I have to finish this video. Perhaps the new thing that the Spirit of God is doing in the church is synodality. Have you heard of this? There was a recent synod on synodality. Now the word, kind of a clumsy word, it's a Greek word. It means the people of God, the entire church, the people of God walking together in the power of the Spirit with Christ towards the kingdom. That's what synodality means. And I'm convinced that this is the new thing the Spirit of God is doing in the church. It is the future of the church. And in the coming weeks during Advent, I will be giving a series of videos on synodality to help you understand how this may be what the Spirit of God is doing and that the church does have a future. I'll see you in those upcoming videos.